Breaking news: the US and China are heading for a high-stakes showdown in Stockholm. Trump's threatening to crush 70% of China's exports to America, while Beijing's gearing up for a brutal counterstrike. This could spark a global trade war or save the world economy. Watch till the end to uncover the truth. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we break down the biggest stories shaking the world. Right now, the clock is ticking. On July 28th and 29th, the US and China will face off in Stockholm for a make-or-break round of trade talks. With a tariff truce expiring on August 12th, the stakes couldn't be higher. If these talks fail, we're looking at 145% tariffs from the US and 125% from China, numbers that could cripple global trade. But what's really going on behind closed doors? Why is Trump doubling down, and what's China's next move? Let's dive in and find out. Let's set the stage. Back in May 2025, the US and China called a 90-day truce, slashing mutual tariffs to 10%. It was like a timeout in a heavyweight boxing match. But that truce ends on August 12th, and without a deal, tariffs could skyrocket to 145% on Chinese goods entering the US and 125% on American goods heading to China. Those aren't just numbers. According to Bloomberg Economics, this could hit 70% of China's exports to the US, worth over 2.1% of their GDP. That's hundreds of billions of dollars, millions of jobs, and supply chains that could collapse overnight. So why is this happening now? Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary, told Fox Business these Stockholm talks are in a good place, but he also dropped a bombshell: the US wants to tackle China's purchases of Russian and Iranian oil, plus their massive overproduction flooding global markets. Sounds like a negotiation, right? But here's the kicker: China's not backing down. Reuters reports they're buying 2.2 million barrels of Russian crude daily, up 16% from last year. And Beijing's not shy about it. Their foreign ministry says this trade is perfectly legal, and no one's getting hurt. So who's playing by the rules here, and who's rewriting them on the fly? Now things get wild. Trump isn't just waiting for Stockholm. He's launching a new attack on China's trade tricks, targeting something called transshipment, where Chinese goods sneak into the US through countries like Vietnam, Mexico, or Indonesia. Yahoo Finance says China's share in these countries' exports to the US jumped from 14% in 2017 to 22% in 2023. That's billions of dollars bypassing US tariffs, disguised as non-Chinese products. Trump's done playing nice. He's already slapped a 40% tariff on Indonesia's transshipped goods, and he's eyeing more countries. If this goes global, it could hammer 70% of China's US exports. That's an economic nuke, but here's the twist: this move could backfire big time. The Congressional Budget Office says Trump's earlier tariffs already cost American consumers billions through higher prices. New tariffs could spike inflation, jacking up costs for everything from smartphones to sneakers. And guess who's footing the bill? You, the American consumer. So why is Trump pushing so hard? Is this about protecting the economy or flexing for the 2026 midterms? One thing's clear: this gamble could shake the world. China's not sitting idle. Despite US tariffs, their exports grew 5.8% in June 2025, thanks to new markets in Asia and Latin America. According to the South China Morning Post, they're also powering up literally. The Yarling Sanpo Dam network in Tibet is now pumping out 300 terawatt-hours a year, nearly a third of Europe's wind and solar output. Cheap energy means cheaper goods, making China untouchable even with tariffs. This isn't just business, it's a silent weapon. And there's more. China's quietly stockpiling gold, over 2,300 tons by early 2025, per Goldman Sachs. Why? Gold's a shield against sanctions and a falling dollar. Meanwhile, they've slashed their US Treasury holdings from $1.3 trillion in 2012 to $757 billion in April 2025. That's a 44% drop, signaling they're done propping up America's debt. If other countries follow suit, the US could face a borrowing crisis straight out of the 1973 Bretton Woods collapse. Is this China's checkmate? So, what's going down in Stockholm? Bessent says the talks are on track, but don't hold your breath. Previous rounds in Geneva and London produced nothing but vague promises. Josh Lipsky from the Atlantic Council says these deals are still too fuzzy to call a win. If Stockholm flops, tariffs will kick in, markets will tank, and prices will soar. But if the US pushes too hard, allies like Japan and Europe might ditch America altogether. The EU's already cozying up to India and South Korea, while Asia's building trade networks that sideline Washington. Here's the big question: is Trump after a real deal, or is this just a show for his base? The world's watching, and the clock's ticking. If these talks fail, we could see a trade war that makes the last one look like a warm-up. And if they succeed, it might just buy time until the next showdown. What do you think's coming? A deal or disaster? The Stockholm showdown isn't just a meeting, it's a battle for the future of global trade. Will Trump outsmart China, or will Beijing play the long game and win? One thing's for sure, the world's changing fast, and you need to stay ahead. Drop a comment below. Who's got the upper hand, Trump or China? We'll see you in the next one.